In terms of official visits, you got some heavy hitters that are coming in town. You're seeing a picture right there, a five-star defensive lineman, Walter Nolen, the number one defensive tackle in the country out of Tennessee. This is an elite kid that Alabama, a lot of other schools are heavily involved in, but he visited Alabama for the spring game. He's going to be back in Tuscaloosa on June the 25th through the 27th for his official visit. Now, is not expected to make a decision this summer. He's going to wait a little while, wants to kind of go into the season, go to some games. So a lot of people, I know a lot of Alabama fans are thinking, well, why doesn't he just wait until the season? Well, he wants to get the official visits out of the way, go in during the season, enjoy the games, and go home. Then make that decision probably sometime in December, if I had to guess. But don't worry, Alabama fans. He's certainly going to be back in Tuscaloosa after his official visit. But Walter Nolen, Denver Harris, five-star cornerback, number 2 cornerback in the country, out of Texas, has the top 4: Alabama, LSU, Texas, and Texas A&M. I think Alabama's got a great chance to land him. He's going to be visiting also on that June 25th weekend. A lot of big visitors on June 25th. Now, there's some kids that I'm really anxious to watch in terms of are they going to make decisions in the month of June after their official visits. Shamar James, outside linebacker out of Faith Academy down in Mobile, just came out with a top 2 about a week ago. Alabama and Florida going to take that official to Alabama on June the 4th through the 6th. Then going to take that official to Florida on June the 18th through the 20th. Now, would not be surprised if a commitment potentially happened before that trip to Florida. I'm sure Alabama's going to try to work their magic and get him on board before that official visit to Gainesville. But I think he'll probably still take that visit because he has a close relationship with the coaching staff at Florida, and probably wants to pay some respects to them and at least take that visit down there just to give them a good shot just as well as Alabama. So we'll see him in Tuscaloosa in early June. Another big official visitor in early June, Jake Taylor. Not the Jake Taylor from the movie Major League. Jake Taylor, offensive lineman from Las Vegas. Picked up that offer from Alabama. I think it was back in February. Didn't have Alabama in his top 3 at the time. Replaced USC with Alabama. So it's Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, top 3 for Jake Taylor. I think Alabama's going to have a really good chance to potentially land him. They'd love to build some inroads there at Bishop Gorman High School, and the top high school football programs, and not only in the area but in the entire country. So Jake Taylor coming in for that June 4th visit. Another big visitor, actually 2 big visitors that are coming in around June the 18th. One's going to be an official, Elijah Pritchett, 6'7", 295-pound offensive tackle out of Georgia, was at Alabama's spring game. He had just recently named a top 8 and says he's going to take his decision into the season, but I think Alabama has a really good chance to land this big offensive lineman. They've got a great relationship with him already. Talks to the staff, almost on an every other day basis. So I'm watching him pretty closely. And another guy that I think a lot of Alabama fans are very excited about, Earl Little Jr., Rivals 100 cornerback out of American Heritage High School, same high school that produced Pat Surtain, and his father also coaches them. So this is a guy that has Alabama at the top of his list. He's just coming in for an unofficial visit. I think it's going to be June the 17th, but he's going to be spending a couple days at Alabama. And then as of right now, planning on making a decision after his senior season, has an official visit set with Alabama on November the 6th. Same weekend, Alabama hosts LSU. Could wait until then to make a decision, but I would not be surprised in the least bit if he went ahead and made a decision this summer. So, watching all those guys pretty closely in terms of some kids who could make decisions this summer, potentially in the month of June.
Yeah, busy month of June for this program. I'm going to talk about some more of these guys here in a second. Real quick, we got a super chat from 2AM Views. Thanks so much for the super chat. Got a question about JT. The latest on him. Any word there, Andrew?
Yeah, so the latest with JT Tuimoloau is he is going to take official visits in June. I know a lot of people are waiting on him to make that decision and wondering what he's going to do. I don't think he really knows what he's going to do just yet. He just finished up his senior season on the football field. The state of Washington pushed their football season to the spring because of COVID, and so now he's starting to really focus on these official visits that are coming up: Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon. Those are 3 schools who are definitely going to get visits. He's also thinking about taking an official to Washington, thinking about taking a visit to USC. But the three schools we're really watching is Alabama, Oregon, and Ohio State. It's got a great relationship with all three coaching staffs. Really likes Oregon a lot. Mario Cristobal has a great relationship with the Ohio State coaches. But Alabama, Nick Saban, Coach Saban really took control of his recruitment. Him and Pete Golding, Freddie Rose have done a great job recruiting him thus far. But all we're all kind of waiting on is these official visits that are coming up in June. We don't know official dates yet. He has not announced that just yet. Trust me, we've asked the people close to him, and they keep telling us he hasn't made a decision yet. Now, I do know that a few kids from his area are coming to Tuscaloosa that first week of June. So around June 2nd, June the 4th. Probably not the weekend that Alabama wants JT to come, because that will be his first official visit. They probably want to get him that last official visit, but we'll see if he ends up making it. Just getting him on campus is going to be big. They can win him over regardless if he comes the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth weekend. I don't think that really matters too much, but I think Alabama certainly has a great chance still with him. They've had a pretty good run so far this spring, obviously getting some big pickups over the course of the last week. So we'll see what happens with JT, but we're looking at early June, mid-June for the official visits, and then probably going to decide late June his final decision. So that's what we're kind of all waiting on right now. And thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you to AM Views, and thanks guys for being here. Get in the comments, hitting us with the likes. We really appreciate it. Keeping Bama Insider running. Really an interesting storyline to follow there with JTT. I butcher his last name no matter how many times I practice it. So I'll spare you guys this time around. Arch Manning is a name, Andrew, that really gets a lot of people excited. Don't know why, but him with LT Overton, some other guys. Peter Woods expected to be at camp this summer as well. Let's talk about these guys a little bit, and who you expect to gain some traction with Alabama.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the underclassmen. We know about all the 2022 guys, and most of these guys who have these committable offers, who Alabama's really targeting in the 2022 class. But what about 2023? There's a lot of talent, a lot of guys coming in, and this is a big opportunity for Alabama to finally have a chance to see these kids, because most of these some of the 2022 guys they've seen before, whether that was in camp a couple years ago, but most of these 2023 guys they haven't seen it all. So getting these guys on campus, working them out, getting them to camp, and at least just visiting with them. Even if Arch Manning comes to Tuscaloosa and decides not to work out, at least getting him on campus and getting him into Coach Saban's office and sitting down with him. Coach Saban with all the rings on his table, that's going to be something that I'm sure he'll be showing off to plenty of recruits this summer. But I think with Arch Manning coming in, obviously that's going to be a big visit. One of the top high school quarterbacks in the country, a 5-star already on Rivals.com, and pretty open-minded. Doesn't have a leader at all, but it's going to take a lot of visits this summer and really enjoy the process. I know he's going to visit Alabama, Georgia, Texas, even SMU. Those are some schools he's already named that he's going to take visits to, and he's going to be in Tuscaloosa on June the 18th. LT Overton, 5-star defensive lineman, one of the is the top overall player on Rivals.com out of Georgia, and he's got some connections with Alabama. His father was an associate AD at Alabama for a few years, and has been to Tuscaloosa, even after his father left. So he's very familiar with Alabama. Really likes Alabama a lot, and is going to be visiting in early June. I think it's June the 5th when he's going to be coming in. We're going to see some other top defensive guys that are going to be on campus this summer. A lot of in-state guys. Peter Woods, number one player in the state of Alabama from Thompson High School. He's going to be in Tuscaloosa, defensive lineman, on, I believe, June the 19th for the O-line, D-line camp. Peter Woods, I said Peter Woods. His teammate, Tony Mitchell, is also one of the top overall players in the country, top 20 overall player. And he's going to be in town, defensive back. I think Alabama's going to have a really good chance with both of those guys. Two linebackers that I know Alabama really likes a lot, and they're high on Alabama as well. Malik Bryant out of IMG Academy, and then and Anthony Hill out of Texas, out of Ryan High School in Denton, Texas. Both of those guys going to be in Tuscaloosa this summer, mid-June. I think Bryant's around the 12th. I think Anthony Hill's a little bit later, maybe June the 26th. So both of those guys both in the top 20 overall on Rivals.com in the 2023 class. So, that's not the only group of guys that are coming into town. There's so many names. I mean, I really think Alabama fans need to click on our link on the front page of Bama Insider that says summer visits. There's so many names. We have all the visit dates already. There's going to be a lot more that are going to be added. We're going to have a ton of updates throughout the next few weeks leading up to the camps, leading up to the official visits. And obviously, during the official visits and camps, we'll have a ton of content that's going to be produced from those events.
Yeah, guys, please go check it all out. Andrew Bone works harder than any recruiting expert in the country. Hit that link on the website. You guys can Google, this, that, whatever, but it's hard to find that info, and he's got it for you right there, organized, ready to go. Andrew, you know who Elijah Brown is. He is committed to the University of Alabama. Let's talk other tight ends, though, around the country. Is there anybody else that this program tries to sign to add along to Brown there as well, or is he going to be the lone tight end in the class?
Yeah, so a few days ago, we saw Holden Stays out of Atlanta announce his decision to Notre Dame. And Holden Stays is a former Penn State commitment. He received an offer from Alabama last year, and Alabama had been in pretty good contact, with him up to his decision. But I still think he probably needed to come into camp, at least spend some time with the coaching staff. And I think Alabama is still interested in taking another tight end in this class. And there's two guys that they're heavily recruiting that are both planning on visiting Alabama in June. And one is Oscar Delp, who's the number one tight end in the country out of Georgia. Got a chance to see him at the Rivals camp a few weeks ago, and he was outstanding. And he actually won the wide receiver MVP award. Just a very long, kind of lean, 6 foot, about 6'6", 225 pounds, but can absolutely run. I was really impressed with how fast he was, and definitely a big time offensive playmaker. And Alabama's really kind of stepped things up with Delp over the course of the last couple months. Really developing a good relationship with the coaching staff. Now, I do believe that Alabama's probably on the outside looking in, but the fact that he's still going to make a visit to Tuscaloosa, anything can change. And then another tight end that they're kind of focused in on is Jaleel Skinner. Out of Greer High School in South Carolina. Clemson's very high on his list. Florida State also very high on his list. But you had a chance to talk to him a few days ago, and he is planning a June trip to Tuscaloosa. So as of right now, those are really the two guys at the tight end position that I'm focused in on, or that Alabama's focused in on, that I'm focused in on in terms of writing about. And I think that Alabama could have a chance with them. Now, they do have a commitment already in Elijah Brown, so that was a big early pickup for them. I think if they can get Jaleel Skinner or Oscar Delp, certainly would take a second tight end in this class. Now, those two guys end up going elsewhere, could potentially just end up settling with, or not settling, but just taking one tight end in this class on Elijah Brown, and still be a pretty good one at that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, adding depth is important here, but Elijah Brown is an excellent tight end to have committed already. We'll see what they do in that regard. Wrapping up here, Andrew, but before we do that, let's talk about some guys that maybe, are still considering Alabama that did not decide to commit to the capstone. We'll talk Jaden Wayne first year, and maybe some other guys that maybe are still considering Tuscaloosa. Do you think any of these guys will switch their commitments, and maybe make the switch to Alabama eventually, or are those commitments set in stone there?
Yeah, so Jaden Wayne, I know you mentioned him. He's actually, just to kind of clear things up, he's a 2023 defensive lineman that's going to visit Tuscaloosa in June. He has not made a decision yet, but I know I sent you that note earlier. I may have screwed up on sending that. So in terms of guys who've made decisions recently that are still considering taking visits to other programs, Isaiah Bond just recently committed to Florida, committed on Saturday. I think it shocked a lot of people when he made that decision, but I reached out to him, just to say, congrats, but also, are you still going to be taking some visits? He says he's still taking his official visits, planning on visiting Alabama on I believe it's June the 18th. So Isaiah Bond, Florida commitment, still planning on coming into Tuscaloosa this summer. Another wide receiver that I'm interested in, seeing if he's going to make a potential flip is Luther Burden, the number one wide receiver in the country. Is currently committed to Oklahoma, but is friends with new Alabama transfer Jamison Williams, both from St. Louis area. He's going to be coming into Tuscaloosa this summer at some point to visit campus, and he said he hasn't decided yet which date he's going to come in, but he's certainly a guy that has interest in Alabama and wants to check things out. So those are just a few guys that we're going to continue to watch and see kind of what happens in their recruitment moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Looking at the notes now, you had it perfect. That one's on my end.
I think
Jaden Wayne is a prospect, though, I do want to talk about here a little bit. He got an offer this week from Alabama. Still quite a ways away there, like you mentioned, 2023. Alabama making some other offers this week as well. Let's talk about these a little bit. Which ones get you the most excited? Jaden Wayne has not made his commitment yet, but maybe it will be to Alabama here. They won't have to try to pull him away from somewhere else. Out of these offers, what do you like the best?
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Wayne, big time defensive lineman. The class of 2023, it might be one of the deepest classes I've ever seen. I've covered recruit. This is my 19th year of covering recruiting, and I don't know if I've seen a defensive line class this deep, especially at defensive end. There's a lot of strong side defensive ends that are heavily recruited. He's the number 13 overall player in the country in that 2023 class from Tacoma, Washington. Alabama trying to recruit the state of Washington a little bit harder these days. So, can they make a potential big impact? Maybe they don't get JT Tuimoloau, but maybe they get Jaden Wayne in that 2023 class. So he's really excited about getting to Tuscaloosa in early June. I had an opportunity to talk to him the other day after he got that offer, and had a great interview on BamaInsider.com about his offer. So he's really excited. So we'll be paying pretty close attention to him. A lot of these 2023 guys still need to come to camp. You still got to show up on campus. These offers, they like you. They like your film. They think you're going to be an elite player, but they still want to see you on campus. They still want to work you out, see if you can kind of go through the grind. And, can you potentially be a football player at the University of Alabama in the next couple of years? So they want to work you out and kind of go from there. But he's certainly a guy that I think Alabama, is going to be very high on, and I think he's going to be high on Alabama. Ruben Bain, another defensive end who was offered by Alabama last week out of South Florida, Miami Central. He was a outstanding player this past season, had 13 sacks in only 6 games. So he's certainly somebody that we're watching pretty closely. And then Yvonne Pierre out of Eufaula High School, also in that 2023 class, defensive end. So many defensive ends, I'm telling you. It's an unbelievable class. So a lot of these guys, still need to come to camp, work out, but they're on a good track right now getting these offers early on in their recruitment.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess edge rushing is just, being taught all over the place nowadays. A lot of defensive ends that we get to talk about. Really just so much talent in this class of 2023, 2022 as well. It's going to be hard to follow up that 2021 class, but Alabama is off to a really good start there in both of those. Andrew, before we get out of here, I want to hear your final thoughts on this past week as a whole. Some really big news for Alabama. Before we do that, guys, hit that like button one more time for us. Get in the comments anything you guys want to talk about before we get out of here tonight. Andrew, Toto is coming to Alabama. Jamison Williams as well. Really a big week for Alabama in the transfer department, especially.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this was an exciting week. Obviously no commitments in the 2022 or 2023 recruiting class, but it seemed like Alabama got a couple 5-stars in these guys on board. So obviously it was pretty exciting. I think with all the kids announcing their visit plans, their top 5s. That's got to be exciting. We're just kind of getting ready for the summer, and things are starting to really kick up a notch, and really exciting time over at BamaInsider.com. So if you're not a subscriber, jump on the site, check us out, and I think all you guys will really enjoy it.
No doubt about it, guys. Please go subscribe. Check out the rest of the content on the website. There's so much out right now. It's not football season, but there's still a lot of headlines to talk about, a lot to cover. Check out the YouTube page as well. We're breaking down these transfers, some signings, really all over the field. We're talking about Bryce Young, Paul Tyson, Bill O'Brien, all of it. You can find it at BamaInsider.com and on the Bama Insider YouTube page as well. This has been Monday Night Quarterback. I'm Trey Annity. That is Andrew Bone. We had Tony Sukalis earlier. Thank you all so much for watching us. We'll be back next Monday night to do it all over again. But before then, guys, go check out the rest of our content. And thank you so much for hitting that like button and keeping Bama Insider as the leader in Alabama Crimson Tide coverage. Until next week, everybody, roll Tide. Have a good one.